Hello everyone, my name's Annie and I work at a little museum called the Andrew Carnegie Birthplace Museum. Today I'm going to be teaching you some crafts that you can do from the comfort of your home because unfortunately we're still closed for the time being. But never fear, crafts never fail to cheer me up a bit. So what we'll be making today is the perfect craft for Burns Night. Burns Night is a very special night in Scotland, and even if you're joining us or watching this somewhere else, it means you can make it and you can bring a bit of Scotland to your house. Now this is my little friend, is a haggis pom-pom, a bit like haggis bonbon that you see on many restaurants. And I thought it was very cute. It's very easy to make, it's just a pom-pom. I was inspired by the fact that people used to think a haggis, rather than being a food, was a creature, a bit like a cross between a hedgehog, a dog, that this mythical creature lived in the Scottish Highlands. You never know. So I thought, why it's not the same, we can maybe try and make our own little haggis pom-pom, and you can add some googly eyes to it. Now the great thing about this craft, it's very easy to make and you can make it with lots of things that you already have in your house. What you'll need for this craft is a pencil, a pair of scissors. These are quite big. If you're doing this on your own, make sure you use safety scissors. You'll need a glue stick. You'll need a piece of cardboard. Make sure you go through your recycling and you can get a nice big bit. You'll need some googly eyes. I've got lots of different shapes in here. You'll need something that you can make a circle with, not too big though. So I've used this cup that I can do a circle with. And then finally, the most important bit, you'll need wool. Now, you can see from my little pom-pom, I've chosen a sort of light brown wool. I thought that was quite haggis shaped, but you know, we live in unusual times. Your haggis can be whatever colour you want. I've got pink wool here. You can use blue, red, make a rainbow haggis. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you how creative you want to be. Now the first step in making our little haggis pom-pom, you need 2 circles. So this is where your cardboard comes in handy. I made these 2 earlier. They look a bit like Pac-Man, don't they? What you need to do is get your piece of cardboard and using the edge of your circle shape is to draw 2 circles. Now you can make your circle whatever size. I've gone for quite a small circle because I don't have much wool. Remember, the bigger your circle is, the more wool you'll need. And the great thing about this project is that it's for using up little bits of wool that you're not going to use for anything else. So you don't really want to go out and buy loads of wool to make a massive pom-pom, but you could if you wanted to. So once you've cut out 2 identical circles, you need to make them look like this. On your circles, cut out a smaller circle in the middle. You can do it a bit smaller than the one I've done here. And then you need to cut in the middle. So you can see I've cut a line here and then cut a small triangle there. Your 2 circles should look roughly the same, but don't worry if they're a bit uneven or the edges are a bit rough. Once you've got your 2 circles, put them on top of each other so they match. You can see here, 2 circles. And then you need to choose what colour you want. I think I'll do a nice grey pom-pom this time. So we've got a brown and a grey one. Now make sure there are no knots in your wool because that's very annoying when you start knitting or crocheting and you've already got a big knot and then you have to pick it and maybe start again. Now I've started by threading with my hands, threading my wool through the hole in the middle. And to secure it, you need to start by tying a little knot at the bottom. It is a bit fiddly, so if you're doing this with an adult, get them to help you and they can do the tricky bits and then you get to do the fun bits. So I've tied a knot at the bottom and it's important that the knot is in the middle, not on the edge. I'll explain why a bit later. So there, good. What you need to do now is start wrapping the wool all the way around. Remember, if you don't have that much wool, you need to make sure your circle isn't very big. If it's too big, you'll run out of wool and your pom-pom won't be very full. There won't be much haggis at all. See here, I think it's easiest to start at one end and work your way around the circle rather than just going in lots of different random directions. So you can see here I've started at this end. It doesn't need to go all the way to the end of the cardboard because we'll be cutting it, and when we cut it later on, it will become a proper circle, so it doesn't really matter that there's a gap. That doesn't mean there'll be a gap in your pom-pom. So keep wrapping. Remember to use this gap at the side, and you can keep wrapping it round and keep going, making sure there aren't many gaps. This is quite a good wool because it's quite a chunky wool. The chunkier the wool, the more full your pom-pom will be, and actually really the sooner it will be done. If you know someone that crochets or knits who's got loads of spare wool, make friends with them, because they'll always have bits of left over that they won't know what to do with, or won't be big enough to make a hat or a scarf or a blanket, etc. So make sure you make friends with them and get them to give you your leftover wool. Now I'm nearly done. What I've been doing is I've been wrapping the wool all around my circle. So like this, been going round all the way, starting at one end and ending at the other, until there are no gaps around the middle. You can see here it's all full, and then you're ready to do the next bit. Make sure that you have some wool left, otherwise you'll be a bit stuck for this next part. Now what I need to do next is, because obviously we can't get the cardboard out, we can't have cardboard in the middle of our pom-pom, we need to make sure it's got edges. So what we need to do is very carefully is to snip around the edge. Some pom-pom instructions give you it with just one circle, and you can still do one cardboard circle and you'll get a perfect pom-pom, but I just find that having two cardboard circles makes this step a little bit easier. This is the reason as well, earlier on, that I said you need to have the knot in the middle of the circle. Otherwise you'll basically cut the knot off and it won't be joined to anything. See, it is a little bit tricky. Do get your adult to help if you are stuck. Nearly there. The final bits. Right, scissors down, now we're done. Do not let go of this pom-pom. So what you need to do now, you can see you've still got that bit of wool. So what you need to do is, in between your cardboard, pull the wool that you have left. If you've cut it by accident, like I have, just make sure you tie a knot in the middle. You can see here, I've tied it around the middle. And then you'll be good to go. Out as the final step. You can see here that's the middle of the pom-pom, but we need to tie it together. So just go around a couple times with your wool, drag it round the middle. You can see there, I've pulled it through a few times, just to make sure it's secure, and then cut a bit of wool off. And you can just then tie another knot in the middle and you'll be done. You might need to trim the edges of your wool at the edges a bit long, or you can leave it on and you can make your pom-pom dangle from somewhere. Door handle, decorative tree, shelf, whatever, you name it. You can hide it somewhere. Now I'm quite happy with how this pom-pom has turned out. We need to take the cardboard off. You should just be able to pull that off now. Doesn't matter if you rip it unless you want to make another pom-pom, it's not too tricky. And you can see some of the hairs are a bit uneven, so you can just trim them. And you can fluff it up a little bit. And there you have it. You've got your finished pom. Now you can add a bit of character to your pom-pom by adding googly eyes next. My googly eyes don't have any sticky back on them, so you just need your glue stick. And you can stick them on yourself, or you can get special ones for sewing that you can just sew on. There you go, there's one googly eye. Where should we put it? Let's go there. You need to just press it down a little bit. And then our haggis friend for our other little pom-pom is nearly ready. There you go. And there we have it, our own little haggis. Now you can, like I said, you can make a haggis in any colours that you have available. It doesn't matter, but I just wanted mine. I tried to pick some traditional haggis colours, so brown and grey is sort of what colour you see. If you're super bored, you can also make a really colourful pom-pom. I decided to make a bright orange pom-pom just for the sake of it. I quite like it because it looks like it's a haggis that has had too much iron brew. How many haggises can you make in total? You can make a really big family or army of haggises if you like. I hope you enjoyed this video where I made my little haggis pom-poms. Why don't you have a go yourself at home, and then you can send us a picture via our social media and we'd love to see all your little haggis pom-poms for Burns Night.